Hi everyone, my name is Teresa Palczewski and I'm an Entertainment and Tourism Communications major at Cal State Fullerton, and I am so excited to share this interview with you. Got the chance to sit down and talk to Kevin Lyman. Kevin is most well known for creating the Vans Warped Tour, a cross-country tour that lasted 25 years and every single summer featured a variety of different rock artists. Kevin has been working in the industry for over 40 years, and throughout his career he has worked on a plethora of different events. He is now teaching at USC and also runs an event production firm. I am so lucky to have gotten the chance to sit down and talk to him, and I'm really excited to share his knowledge with all of you.
Coming on the Zoom right now, but will you be around for when I'm done with this? I'll give you a call. Hello, Teresa.
Hi Kevin, how are you?
Wait, let me get volume. Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay, how are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. And I do owe you an apology, but
Oh, it's totally okay. I completely understand. Out of your control.
literally last week when I was between classes and I ran out to load my van up because I was heading out to the desert for the weekend. And I opened the back door of my Sprinter van and the whole window shattered.
Oh no.
So I was covered kind of in glass.
Oh,
I was on the phone with the glass company, and they were patching me when they wanted to go run it through insurance, which thank goodness they did. And so I was just I totally lost track when I'm sitting there with a big blown out window and a back.
Oh, you're totally fine. I completely get it. You had other things on your plate. I'm really glad we got to reschedule it though. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, very cool. So whenever you're ready.
Before we start the questions, can you share your social media handles with us? That way people know where to find you.
You could find me. I'm pretty easy at Kevin Lyman at Instagram, Kevin Lyman on LinkedIn, Kevin Lyman on Twitter, and Kevin Lyman at Facebook.
It's just everywhere to look for you. It's just Kevin Lyman.
Yeah, just look for me at Kevin Lyman.
Okay, so to start off, can you tell us a little bit about your education?
My background in education was I went to Cal Poly Pomona. I was actually supposed to go to Cal State Fullerton.
Oh, really?
And I was registered at Cal State Fullerton to enter school. And I mean, it's way different than it is now, but there was a thing called the Great Gas Crisis. It was one of the first gas crises where there was long lines for gas. They were telling us we weren't going to be able to get gas. And I was living in Claremont, and I called the school and said, I'm really worried that, if we can't get gas, it's one of those things like couldn't get toilet paper a year ago.
Yeah.
Were we ever going to have toilet paper again? At that moment, there's that freak out and people were sitting in gas lines. So Cal State Fullerton was very helpful. And they said, we'll get you a letter and you can take it over to Cal Poly Pomona.
That's awesome.
And they'll let you in there, because
Nice.
I always felt I could ride my bike there, which I eventually did for a while. Rode my bike to Cal Poly Pomona, and was going to be a journalism major for a short time, and then switched over to recreation administration, got involved in the concert committee and on the ski club and ski team. We needed to raise money, so I started to put on concerts.
Oh, that's awesome. So you started doing concerts at school?
Yeah, we would put on shows to raise money for our ski club and ski team. We ran a fraternity house, or eventually grew to renting a hangar at the Ontario airport.
Oh, wow.
That got Ontario airport shut down for a brief moment because so many people showed up. And
wow, that's cool. You got to start small and then you kind of gradually built up.
Yeah, that was a little bit on the edge there, because that was back in the days when you could actually walk, get across on a runway, and it wasn't that secure. So people were parking at the airport and running across the runway to get to the hangar. That didn't go over so well. That didn't go over so well.
Sounds like a very different environment, but it sounds like it was really cool.
It was good. So I learned that, then moved to Hawaii for a while, and came back and was invited. From all that experience I got in college, people said, you did a pretty good job. Like you showed like a knack for this. There's a club in Long Beach called Fender's Ballroom at that point. It's not around anymore. Would you like to come down? A promoter said, a sound company said, hey, they need a stage manager. So I went down and started working in the clubs right then.
Awesome.
And then I was very quickly, we teamed up. I was working for an independent promoter who teamed up with Golden Voice, who now puts on Coachella. And my old friend from school, Paul Tollett, who founded Coachella, was working for Golden Voice. We started co-promoting shows. And the next thing I know, I was running all the shows for Golden Voice. And
awesome.
Built my production company in Claremont, California. And for many years, about 12 years, ran about I was running up to 320 shows a year all over
Oh,
Southern
wow.
California. There was a former person that went to Cal State Fullerton named Kevin Wheeler, who we used to do a lot of business and stuff with. Actually did some shows on the campus there at Cal State Fullerton, helped them out when they were doing concerts down there.
Oh, wow.
We did the Warped Tour at Cal State Fullerton at one point.
Really?
Yeah, we did the Warped Tour. I can't remember the exact year, but we were out on the athletic fields one summer.
Oh, that's so cool. My next question kind of ties into Warped Tour. I was wondering, how much of your life did you give to Warped, and what made you want to stop doing it eventually?
Oh God, how much of my life? I mean, that to make that work, it was a year-round project. We worked on other projects, but they were more, we're lending our skill set versus our heart set. Warped was like really driven by the heart. It was a sound financial business. It wasn't money. We try to keep the ticket prices low. We try to keep everything reasonable as much as we could. But that was a lifelong project. That was year round. You worked on that year round to make that work. After 25 years, there was a point where I was I thought I had done everything I could with that project to challenge myself. So we kind of took that round number of 25. We just thought that was a good one. We would wind it down. In 2018, we did our last cross-country national tour, which turned into our second largest attended tour ever. And then we did our, we thought we'd do these giant parties where we would bring back some of the bigger bands and things that had gone through the Warp system, and did our 2 closing events in 2019. Well, 3, including the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We had a big summer, signed off. At that point, I was already starting to teach at University of Southern California as a full-time professor.
Gotcha.
And then other interests. I just, and now, it's during this pandemic, we've been keeping busy teaching, but also, now launching this podcast, the My Warped Life podcast that I've just launched is a podcast of trying to bring all these over 40 years of stories together into one place.
Gotcha. Just trying to compile everything. You have so much experience, just a place to talk about all of it.
Yeah, we're going to have, we take a theme of some of them. We've talked about catering. We've talked about the Van Doren family, who, I was Vans was a supporter of me. We'll have an episode on them. We're going to have Ice-T on it. It's going to be fun. And it's more
sounds awesome.
Talking to people. And then I sit in my backyard and film it with a friend of mine who has no idea what I did all my life,
Oh, really?
Yeah. And we just get to tell stories and have a good time.
That sounds awesome. I got to go to Warped in 2018. It was definitely a cool experience getting to be at the last cross country one. It was really fun.
Did you get to go to Pomona or?
I went to Ventura, actually. I've been to Pomona, San Diego, and Ventura for Warped across different years. So I got to see it in different places.
Ventura is a very nice venue.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was really cold in the morning. I was like, I was used to being all hot and sweaty by the end of the day. In the morning, I was like, oh, it's so cold.
Yeah, it's the one place we would sell sweatshirts. The whole summer, we wouldn't sell sweatshirts and hoodies the whole summer, but they'd all sell out. They'd all sell out at the Ventura show.
Really? That's interesting.
Because you didn't know it was going to get cold or what.
Yeah, you show up, you're expecting, you're like, I'm ready for a hot day. And then you're like, oh, it's actually pretty chilly.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a really cool experience. I'm glad I've gotten to go to those shows. Right. My next question is more about education. What life?
Wait, I'm sorry, Teresa. We just lost your volume for a second.
Hear me now?
Go ahead. If you could repeat that. I can hear you now.
Okay. What parts of your education do you find the most useful in your day-to-day life?
Oh gosh, I think, for me, it was, I always say that education, there's the education aspect, but then there's the socialization aspect. I was very engaged on campus activities. I started to learn how to do things that the students would like, my fellow students, but also were semi-acceptable by the administration. So I kind of learned that balance, and we pushed it right to the edge. Trust me, we pushed it to the edge of acceptability. Yeah. But I kind of learned how to navigate a diverse group of people.
Gotcha.
And I look back at my school now, and I really look at it as that was a time. And, I think that's one of the things that's, kind of lacking this year with COVID. When you're getting to be almost the age of I am, I'll be 60 very shortly. I'm like, okay, in pandemic, isolation after 40 years of working every night and being around shows and everything. it's okay. It's something new for me, but
Hmm.
it's just not fair to you guys. It's just
Yeah.
what you guys have been missing out. I have a daughter that's 21 and
Hmm.
25. I really feel for you guys.
Yeah, it's definitely different because I'm used to being able to like meet people on campus and see what's going on. Because at our school we would do like concerts every few weeks or so, and that's just something it's just not possible anymore.
Yeah. So I think it's one of those things that we all have to, hopefully next year you'll be able to make up for some of that.
When Teresa and Kevin return, Teresa asks Kevin what he looks for when he hires people. This interview is brought to you by College Web Mentor. Check out their student reviews under testimonials and sign up for daily or weekly motivation messages at collegewebmentor.com. Now, back to Teresa and Kevin.
I know that you have your agency, and I was just kind of curious, how does one get involved with an agency like yours? And then for you specifically, what do you look for when you're hiring people?
Well, recently I look for young people with technology skills, people that have those skills in Adobe or Canva or some of the things you guys are just naturally growing up with, how to
Mm,
edit, do basic editing on computer with all the video we do. I've ended up hiring students of mine to come in because it's
oh,
second
really?
nature to you,
Yeah.
technology. If you want to go into the live event space, they're using programs now, and it's much more technology forward things, like Vectorworks or CAD programming. If you learn basic accounting, using, trust me, you guys grew up with Google Docs. To be
Yeah.
honest, it's like I have to go back and learn all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So do I want to learn all that stuff? I learn it because I have to, and I'm not necessarily doesn't come easy. Some of this stuff that's as easy for you. So for me to allow myself a little more time so I can hang out and go garden or fish or whatever I
Yeah.
want to do, I'll hire one of you guys to help me with it. And then
Sure.
you'll usually come into the company and go, well, okay, Kevin, you're not going to learn all this stuff, but you're going to learn enough so we can work in this program. And then I learn it.
Gotcha.
So that's what I look for these days.
Gosh, just kind of learning the basics so you can get everything that needs to get done.
Yeah.
More about like the music industry, just where do you see the live music industry post-pandemic?
Well, I see it being crazy. I
Yeah,
see it being absolutely madness for at least 12 to 18 months. And
really.
that madness is one, there'll be a lot of job opportunities. There's going to be a lot of places to work. There's going to be a lot going on. But two, I potentially see at the end of that kind of some economic ruin because we do have to face the fact that our economy in the country is going to be a bit fragile. Um,
Hmm.
so everyone's going to rush out. Everyone's going to want to come in and do shows where we already see it that
Yeah,
there's going to be shows 7 days a week in every venue that can have a show. We've lost some venues, we've
yeah,
lost places, but everyone that there's going to be a show every day of the week. How much will the economy support?
interesting. There's an interesting thing about the whole job aspect is very interesting because you hear all this stuff about like, oh, all these jobs are lost, but we don't think about what it's going to be like when things are back to quote unquote normal and what it's going to look like then.
Yeah, so I think people that are smart and diversify their artists, where you see them working with brands now, you see them understanding. I think streaming is not going to go away.
Hmm.
I think it's going to be people that have, it's going to be a tricky time because you want to be involved. And I just hope it's not some giant rush to see how much money people like. I want to get my money because
Yeah.
knowing that it's going to run out at some point, I got to get
Mhm.
mine now because then it just turns into like a frenzy, a shark frenzy.
Yeah, it's also because so many people would either cancel or postpone towards kind of how are you going to fit all of that in when there's people who have I know I had like probably 6 or 7 different shows canceled. It's like how close are these going to be put together? Like how is that timing going to work out for everything? So it'll be
So
interesting.
I it's better for me to be sitting on the sidelines as an independent person and helping
Yeah.
people if they need it. But
Hmm.
I wouldn't want to be risking everything I've ever earned over the 40 years trying to figure it out.
Yeah, of course. You wouldn't want to put all that at risk like that. My last question is what advice would you give to college students pursuing a career in the music industry?
Go out. I know you have an end goal. Everyone has in their mind what they want to do eventually.
Hmm.
Just go out and do it. Like take any job that's available. Okay.
Mhm.
I told my students today, we had go to a smaller market, start working in that small market. This guy, I had a guy named Jonathan Azu, who's a wonderful person, doing really well in the business, but he thought he was going to start in New York. Well, he ended up going to St. Louis and starting there.
Oh, wow.
Proved how good he was in that market, working for a radio station and everything. And then went to New York and was able to handle that big city pressure. And now he has an amazing management company, and it's grown and diversified. Whereas sometimes, you go into this fast-paced lifestyle, it could eat you up if you're not careful.
Yeah. That's interesting that he had one thing in mind and then totally branched out, but it ended up working out for him. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, once you get a job, it gets easier to get the second job. So I always tell people, don't be too picky about that first job. Just start working, and then you'll find how easy the second job will come. Good
to keep in mind. I know you had mentioned your podcast that you're working on. Did you want to tell us a little bit more about that and what you're going to be doing with that?
Yeah, it's, the My Warped Life podcast. Some people would think it was just about Warped Tour, but I've actually been in the business for over 40 years. I've come across and worked in all aspects of the business. So going back to the history, and I kind of pull in some guests and we'll pick a topic. Some people always, but a lot of it is around Warped Tour. People were interested in, we just filmed an episode yesterday about the psychology of the barbecue. Some people would look at it as just a big party at backstage at night, but there was a psychology to actually running the barbecue and why I did those kind of things. So I'm just kind of telling people that, on the surface, a lot of people will look and say, oh, the Warped Tour ended. So, in the typical way, people go, oh, Kevin's not making enough money. Well, it never had to do with that. It had to do with 24 other reasons. And we might explore some of those things. But then also bringing these kind of people that I've crossed through in life that have influenced my life. So that's why I'm bringing people in like Ice-T for a future episode.
That sounds awesome. I didn't even think about things like that, like the barbecue, how there's so much more to it than just everyone's just hanging out.
Absolutely. And that's what that episode we just filmed yesterday.
That's awesome. Do you post it on YouTube or where do you post
it? It's on YouTube,
podcast?
It's on Spotify, it's on Apple, it's on anywhere where you will usually find a podcast. You can find it. It's called My Warped Life. At least a couple. And then we have a Patreon where people can sign up and then listen to the full interviews, because we have some great interviews, and each of the interviews on their own is about an hour, but we, splice in little tidbits into every episode.
And then do you post weekly or is it bi-weekly? How often do you guys post?
Every 2 weeks, we'll be posting a new episode.
Gotcha. I'll definitely have to tune into that and see what you're talking about. Well, thank you so much. This was really informative, and just like as someone who attended Warped Tour and like grew up with that, it was really nice to meet you and just hear more about your experience with everything you've done in the industry.
Great. Well, thank you so much, and best of success, and hopefully I'll cross paths with you at some point in person.
Thank you. I really hope so. That'd be nice.
All right, Teresa. Take care. Best of success.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.